with the armies as well as the tribes of Germany, and so to kindle a fresh war. The garrison of Erythmium were discouraged by the departure of the Valco, and Cornelius Focus bring up his army and disposing his Liburnid ships at the nearest points of the shore, infested the place by sea and land. His troops occupied the plains of Umbria and that portion of the Picanti territory that is washed by the Adriatic. And now the whole of Italy was divided by the range of the Apennines between Vespasian and Vitellius. Valens, having started from the Bay of Pisa, was compelled either by calm or the contrary wind to put in at the port of Hercules, Monachus. Near this place was stationed Marius Matrosus, procurator of the Maritime Alps, who was loyal to Vitellius, and who, though everything around him was hostile, had not yet thrown off his allegiance. While courteously receiving Valens, he deterred him by his advice from rashly invading Gal Nebrosians. And now the fidelity of the rest of the party was weakened by their fears. In fact, the procurator Valerius Paulinus, an enterprising officer who had been a friend of Vespasian before his elevation to the throne, had been the neighboring states swear allegiance to that prince. Reading Tacitus, Paulinus had collected all the troops who had been disbanded by Vitellius, were now spontaneously taken up arms, and was holding with this force the colony of Florum Julii, which commanded the sea. His influence was all the greater because Forum Julii was his native place, and because was respected by the Praetorians, in which force had once been tribune. The inhabitants themselves, favoring a fellow townsman and anticipating his future greatness, did their best to promote the cause. When the preparations, which were really formidable and were exaggerated by report, became known among those who were distracted by Vitellius Philebus Valens, returned to his ships with 4 soldiers of the bodyguard, 3 personal friends, and many centurions, while Maturius and the rest chose to remain behind and swear allegiance to Vespasian. For Valens, indeed, the open sea was safer than the coast of the towns, yet all uncertain about the future, and knowing rather what he must avoid than what he could trust. He was thrown by the adverse weather on the Strachades islands of Massilia. There he was captured by some Liburnid ships Dispatch by Paulinus. Valens once captured everything turned to swell the resources of the conqueror. The lead was taken in Spain by the First Legion, the Etruscs, whose recollections of Otho made them hate Vitellius. They threw with them the 6th and the 10th. Gaul did not hesitate to follow, a partiality long felt in Britain for Vespucian, who had there commanded the 2nd Legion by the appointment of Claudius, and had served with this distinction attached that province to the cause, though not without some commotion among the other legions, in which many centurions and soldiers promoted Vitellius, who felt uneasy in exchanging for one another ruler one whom they knew already. These dissensions and the continual rumors of civil war raised the courage of the Bretons. They were led by one Vitinus, who, beside being naturally high-spirited and hating the name of Rome, was fired by his private animosity against Queen Cartismandu. Cartismandu ruled the Brigantes in virtue of her illustrious birth, and she strengthened her throne, which by the treacherous captor of King Caractacus, she was regarded as having given its chief distinction to the triumph of Claudius Caesar. Then followed wealth and the self-indulgence of prosperity, spurning her husband Ventus, and made Velasuus, her armor-bearer, the partner of her bed and throne. By this enormity, the power of her house was at once shaken to its base. On one side of the husband were the affections of the people, on that of the adulterer, the lust, savage temper of the queen. Accordingly, Ventus collected some auxiliaries, and aided at the time by a revolt of the Brigantes, brought Cartismandu into the utmost peril. She asked for some Roman troops, and our auxiliary infantry and cavalry, after fighting with various success, contrived to rescue the queen from her peril. Ventus retained the kingdom, and we had the war on our hands. About that time, Germany suffered from the supineness of our generals, the multitudinous conflict of our legions, the assault of our enemies, and the perfidy of our allies. All but overthrew the power of Rome. Of this war, its origin and its issue, for it lasted long, I shall hereafter speak. The Dacians also were in motion, a people which never can be trusted, and which now in our legion were withdrawn from Moresia, had nothing to fear. They quietly watched the opening of the campaign. But when they heard that Italy was in blaze of war, and that the whole empire was divided against itself, they stormed the winter quarters of the auxiliary infantry and cavalry, and occupied both banks of the Danube. They were preparing to destroy the camp of the legions, but Mascanius sent the 6th Legion against them, for he knew of the victory of Cremona, and he feared this double pressure of barbarian power, with Dacians and Germans invading Italy from opposite sides. We were helped, as often before, by the good fortune of the Roman people, which brought to a spot Mucinous with the armies of the East, and by the decisive settlement which in the meantime was effected by Cremona. Pontius Agrippa was removed from Asia, which province he had governed as proconsul for a year, to Moesia, and had some troops given him from the army of Vitellius. To the army should be dispersed through the provinces and closely occupied with foreign wars, with sound policy and essential to peace. Far from alarms, daylight shall come, but it rain. Tenderly pressed close to my face, kiss me again. Sweet summer breeze, whispering tree, stars shining softly above, roses in bloom, wafted perfume, sleeping birds dreaming of love, safe in your arms, far from alone. Daylight shall come, but in vain. Tenderly pressed close to my breast, kiss me again. Sweet summer breeze, whispering tree, stars shining softly above, roses in bloom, wafted perfume, sleepy birds dreaming of love, safe in your arms. Ooh, far from alarm, daylight shall come, but in vain. Tenderly pressed close to my breast, kiss me up, kiss me again.